We have been waiting for this for years, as 3 of the past 4 seasons, the Raptors have really struggled in the back half of the year, and the team has been desperately trying to find hidden gems that can really come into their own and actually have an impact on this team for the future. Well, now that has been proven to be the case. The mission, the thing that we've been hoping for, the thing that we have all sought after, in the months of March and April over the past few seasons, it's finally coming to fruition as Masai Ujiri, the Toronto Raptors team, have found some bona fide players that would have been in the back half of the rotation, wouldn't have gotten a ton of run at the beginning of the season, that now have developed, have come into their own, and frankly, as the Raptors look to compete next season, get back in the playoff picture, the young players that are emerging here right now will be in the mix. That's sound to say I'm locking that in here right now. So we're going to break down what's going on with these young guys out here on the Toronto Raptors team, what we can expect from this team going forward. As I've been mentioning lately, folks, again, you want to listen to Raptors Digest on the go, make sure you check us out on Spotify, Apple Music, all of these different platforms because, hey, it's different places. We're expanding the Digest media empire, going out back onto audio. So definitely check all that stuff out. But let's dive into it because the Toronto Raptors did just lose to the Detroit Pistons 105-117. And this does have some serious implications in regards to the Raptors' positioning tank-wise, in their mission to really capture that flag, get that top draft pick over the course of the season. We'll talk about there at the end, but of course, that's been the main discourse on this Toronto Raptors team this entire season. But the one thing that I think is getting overlooked amongst all these losses, amongst everything that's going on, is the development of the young players. And that's the big thing that I think is really the mission for sure. Losing the games, getting a better draft pick is the main reason why you come into these games. And players such as, Immanuel Quickley getting 29 minutes. I guess 30 minutes is still, enough minutes for some of these players. But when the guys are actually in the lineup, in the mix, there has been a weird fluctuation in terms of rotation. Younger guys getting an extended run in the back half of the season. Of course, a part of that's to facilitate some L's out there in the win-loss column, but really it's to give some development there. And the first guy we do have to highlight, that we do have to bring up, is Jacoby Walter, who is, of course, the Toronto Raptors' first overall pick, first round pick this past NBA draft. And while it was in the back half of the first round, was a guy that slipped and even though, again, being the most known, the top overall pick for the Toronto Raptors, he dealt with some injuries at the start of this year and fell into the back of a lot of Toronto Raptors minds for stretches. And now over the last month or so, he has played very, very well. And tonight's game against the Pistons really showed out. And 8 of 14 from the field, 4-7 from the three-point line, 22 points for Jacoby Walter, 3 steals, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, just really showing his scoring instincts, his capabilities, being able to score all over the court, whether it's, jump shooting, knocking down 3-point shots, scored around the rim. Jacoby Walter, got to the free throw line a couple times. That is once, but two shots. Jacoby Walter, that is what you like to see. Of course, he is a young guy. We can't expect him to be perfectly consistent night in, night out, but he's really proven that he is an NBA-level scorer. He puts a bit of muscle on his frame. He can be a pretty solid defender, and I've seen some rumblings, and now a part of this is certainly recency bias because Gradey Dick, especially at the start of this year, looked phenomenal, but they're saying, hey, maybe Jacoby Walter is the starting shooting guard of the future for this team. Maybe he should be over Gradey Dick out there in the mix. Now, he has to show us more, consistency, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jacoby Walter is a starting caliber player out there in the future. Now, I'm not going to sit here and start debating two guys their first and second years and who's going to be better, who's going to be this, who's going to be that. It's all about development. It's all about who positions themselves the right way. But, of course, it's good to see the Raptors have a ton of talent out there at the wing position. So that's a huge positive to see. But the other guy that does have to be highlighted is Jamal Shead, who I've been outspoken. I've brought up ad nauseum how much of a fan I am of Jamal Shead. His energy, his intensity on the defensive end. The Sheadheads have been uniting out here in Raptors land over the back half of this season as he has gotten extended run for this Raptors group. And frankly, he has looked good out here in these games. And tonight, off the bench of the Toronto Raptors, got to close the game. 14 points, 9 assists, 2 steals. The efficiency could have been a little bit better. Again, you'd love to see the 3-point shots going at an absolutely prolific rate, but he has improved as a 3-point shooter without a doubt over the course of this season. But really, what impresses me beyond, the defensive player of the year caliber defense that he showed out there in college, beyond his, developing jump shot is he is just an elite decision maker. I know he's an older rookie, but for a rookie coming in and getting his first couple months of really extended run out here in the NBA after the team traded away Davion Mitchell, Jamal Shead, just the poise that he has, the calmness, and down the stretch of this game, the Raptors were making a run. The young guys were trying to make a push at the last stretch of this game to take a sneaky win out here on the Detroit Pistons. And Jamal Shead coming down possession after possession, and whether it ended up in a bucket or not, that is what it is. Jamal Shead was making the right decisions, and that's exactly what you want to see out of a guy that's running the point guard position for your squad. And I get it. He's a rookie. I get it. We're in the back half of a tanking year where these games don't matter. Teams aren't playing 100%. All of that stuff. I understand the excuses. I understand people not taking too many takeaways from these stretch of games. But looking at Jamal Shead play, you just get that vibe. You get that aura of what Fred VanVleet looked like at his best, what Kyle Lowry looked like when he was leading these Toronto Raptors teams. These small, stocky guards that just command the presence of your entire roster, that come out there, they're the coach on the floor, and they just keep your team focused, locked in on the right direction. Are they always the best player out there on the court? Maybe not, but they are the bona fide just leader. They are the authority out there on the basketball court, and Jamal Shead just gives off that aura. Of course, it still has improved, especially at the three-point shot, has to prove his skill set to really, take that star-level leap that Kyle Lowry, of course, has made. But those instincts, that scrappiness, that leadership ability is just there watching him out there on the basketball court, and that is very, very exciting to see. So, for a second-round pick, another guy that we've been waiting for this. We've been waiting for the Toronto Raptors to really find these types of gems out there in the back half of the draft, in the these sections, and let them develop and come into their own last stretch of the season. But it wasn't just those guys. Jameson Battle, even though he got cooked a few possessions, certainly on the defensive end, did knock down 3 of his 5 3-point shots. So I defensively there were some issues there with Jameson Battle, but minus 30 in the plus minus, that's tough to see. But he's knocking down his 3-point shots. That's what you are encouraged by. Jonathan Mobo, 6 points, 8 rebounds, no assists surprisingly from him tonight. Usually he's a solid facilitator, but Mobo's always of course been solid. But just the entire squad. They're playing with energy. They're playing with intensity, and the young guys, you love to see that passion. Now, the vets didn't have the greatest games tonight. 14 points for Immanuel Quickley, 10 points for Jakob Poeltl, 10-11 for Big Yak, but there were a couple of possessions defensively. He looked uncharacteristically not locked in, so that is one thing to bring up. Immanuel Quickley, of course, had 8 assists, had 8 rebounds, so that's still a positive, but you want to see him shooting at a higher percentage on a higher consistency, so that is one thing to be brought up. Jamal, goodness gracious, I was about to say Chris Boucher, my brain went all over the place, but Jared Rhoden in this one, 6 points in this game, 5 rebounds, doing his thing out there on the wings. AJ Lawson had 9 points, not the overwhelming, exciting games we've been seeing from him over the past couple of weeks. Orlando Robinson, one of his worser games over the last stretch, dealt with some foul trouble, 5 personal fouls in this game. And then Cole Swider knocking down some shots, showing the high 3-point percentage that he had out there in the G League. So, again, whatever, the Raptors, they've lost another game. This has helped the tank significantly as the Spurs, this screenshot was taken before they end up losing to the Cavs. But basically, if the Raptors lose one more game or the Spurs win one more game, then we are officially locked into that 7th seed. Mathematically, it still might be possible to catch the Nets, but is extremely unlikely. So, that's the reality of what's happening with that situation here now at this point, but expect the 7th best odds. We'll keep you up to date to the latest developments out here in the Tankathon standings, but let me know what you guys think about all this Toronto Raptors news. You guys are the best to make this far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.